So another NFL Sunday arrives, and here I am, Andy XL, back with another NFXL podcast, part two of my week three preview. We'll look at the Sunday late games and the Monday night games. So let's start with the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers even. Coming into the season, many were touting the Broncos as the team to dethrone the Chiefs in the AFC West. I agreed the Chiefs could be dethroned, but said it was the Chargers that were the more likely team to do so. After 2 weeks, I feel vindicated in saying this, but this could change things. A win here for the Broncos would take them above the Chargers, courtesy of holding the head-to-head tiebreak. But a win for the Chargers would keep them top of the division with a tiebreak over both the Chiefs and the Broncos. So really, early season, this is a massive game for both teams, particularly Denver, I might argue. Both teams come into this one pretty much at full strength. That said, the Broncos would have loved to have had Dre Greenlaw back for this one. He won't be back. The Chargers will be without Khalil Mack. Evan Ingram's out for the Broncos, and for the Chargers, cornerback Elijah Molden will also be missing. So we're beginning to get to the stage of the season now where injuries really kick in. I say this every week, but the real strength of the Broncos is their D. Bo Nix has earned his share of plaudits quite rightly, but these guys on D deserve more credit than Nix. The Chargers have been efficient offensively without being spectacular in the first 2 weeks, whilst their own D has limited the opposing offense to allow them to get the wins. The Harbaugh model in action for sure then. But can the offense do enough against this Denver D? The Chargers' passing offense has carried the load so far with 5 scores to 0 from the ground game. But Najee Harris missed all of preseason and rookie Marion Hampton is still finding his feet. This could be the game that their running game starts to show up, and it may need to. Um, J.K. Dobbins will be keen to show the Chargers what they let go, and will need a big game for the Broncos to prevail in this one. I do not see their passing game being able to pile up the points against the Chargers. So in a really hard fought game, I'm going to take the Chargers to get to 3-0 for the season by winning by 24 points to 20. Right, New Orleans at Seattle Seahawks. I feel like I'm standing up for the Saints every week as being better than they are perceived to be, which is perceived as a pretty bad team. I still think I'm right in doing so, but they are 0-2 and on the road to a Seahawks team that got a good win over the Steelers last week and are always tough to beat at home. You have to take them and the 12th man on. This is a game between two teams that will not make the postseason, in my opinion. So the result of this one holds less significance than most other games this week. The Saints have lost closest games to two teams in the NFC West, who are both better teams than the Seahawks, and will not make life easy for the Seahawks either. Injury-wise, the Saints have issues on their D-line. Dylan Razuns is out for this one, while Talais Fuaga and Trevor Manning are both struggling to make it too. The Seahawks' main issues are in the secondary, where Julian Love, Nick Emanuari, and Devon Witherspoon are all questionable. So this could be a case of can the Saints O-line hold up enough for Spencer Rattler to exploit the Seahawks' issues in the secondary? So those two injuries for Fuaga and Manning could be crucial that they do manage to start at least one of them. But I think this could be a third consecutive narrow loss for the Saints. The ground offences could be the difference here, as the Seahawks via Kenneth Walker get more out of their run game than Alvin Kamara can deliver for the Saints thus far. Especially, and that's could be even more so in this one, considering the Saints O-line concerns. So I'll take Seattle to win this by 20 points to 16 in a low scorer. On the flip side, Dallas Cowboys at Chicago Bears. And here is another game between two teams that won't make the postseason. The Bears were hammered by the Lions in week 2, whereas the Cowboys won a wild one over the Giants, but displayed all the reasons why they will not beat good teams this season. But the Bears, whilst probably better than last season, are not a good team yet. So the question in this one is which bad team wins this one? Well, I expect another barn burner of a game here with points galore as the Cowboys' offense can still be good against average or worse defenses like the Bears, whilst the Cowboys' D is just atrocious right now post Micah Parsons. The Bears have a number of injury worries at inside linebacker and cornerback ahead of this one as well, which leaves them thin in those areas. As such, this is almost an impossible game to call because in effect it's a game of dodgeball like randomness. But, but I will go with the Cowboys given the Bears' injury issues on D, and it could take Brandon Aubrey to decide this as he could probably kick a field goal in Chicago from Dallas. So I'll say Dallas to win this by 34-31 and an absolute shootout again. But don't get carried away, Cowboys fans. You're still not a good team. All right, Arizona Cardinals at San Francisco. With the Rams facing a really tough game in Philly earlier this evening, this could be for the clear lead in the NFC West as both teams come in 2-0. The already depleted offense of the 49ers have now lost left guard Ben Barch and left tackle Spencer Burford, which leaves them pretty thin on their O-line too. And with wide receiver Juan Jennings continuing to battle the injury as the injury plague of the 49ers continues into its second season. That means Mac Jones will be at quarterback again instead of Brock Purdy, so he, along with Christian McCaffrey and Ricky Pearsall, will have to do the heavy lifting for the 49ers offense in this one against Cardinals D that has been really good against the run and pretty decent against the pass too. So I don't expect the 49ers to score more than 20 points in this game, which means their D really has to stand up for them to win. And when it comes to shutting down the Cardinals' offense, that means two things: limiting James Conner and the emerging Trey Benson on the ground, and getting to Kyler Murray quickly and often. The Cardinals have a couple of injury concerns on their O-line in Will Hernandez and Paris Johnson. If neither of these suit up for this one, that could be significant in making it difficult for him to run the ball, and probably more pertinently to protect Kyler Murray. The Cardinals are one of the soundest teams in the trenches in the entire league, and that is their largely unspoken about truth. Bad news for the 49ers is that they have only 4 sacks and 7 quarterback hits in their first 2 games. They have been stout against the run though, so really they have to up that pressure on Kyler Murray here, otherwise they're going to struggle. But with all their issues on offense, I just do not see the 49ers holding the Cardinals to less than 20 points. So we'll go for a massively important Cardinals win here. 49ers 17, Cardinals 23 is my score prediction. On Sunday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs at New York Giants. A fundamentally sound Chiefs team travelled to play the manically chaotic Giants. The Chiefs receiver corps has been down to its bare bones, and with Xavier Worthy still out for this game, that position hasn't changed. The Giants are an explosive team both on offense and defense, and they have pace aplenty at wide receiver in Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Darius Slayton, whilst the defense is hugely reliant on a fearsome pass rushing unit getting to the opposing quarterback before they get to pick off the Giants secondary. Do not be deceived by the Giants' offensive showing against the Cardinals, as you can't help but think that Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo will not let anything like that happen here, whilst Reid and Mahomes will come up with a plan to limit and negate the Giants' pass rush and do enough to win this game. So, whilst this could well be a dodgy game for the Chiefs, let's put it that way, I somehow think they'll find a way to get across the line here. So I'm taking them to win this one by 26-20. Monday Night Football, Detroit Lions at Baltimore Ravens, and so this the finale of the week, and this could be a classic in every way. Two really good teams who bounced back from week 1 losses to score 93 points between them in wide margin week 2 wins over weaker opposition meet in this game, which both badly need to win. The Lions may actually need it more given the Packers' early season form, and Joe Burrow's injury has opened the door to the AFC North for the Ravens to walk through. The Lions' offense was back to its fearsome best against the Bears in week 2, but it's still going to go how the reformed O-line goes. That unit showed up much better in week 2 and will improve as the season progresses. But this is a second stern test for it in the opening 3 weeks after it flunked the exam against the Packers in week 1. However, the Ravens' D has been far from great in the first 2 weeks and has not shown much in terms of a pass rush and allowed 3 rushing TDs to the Bills in week 1. So on that basis, Detroit should be pretty productive on offense in this one. The Ravens scored 40 against the Bills in week 1 and 41 against the Browns in week 2, where they did not need to be as productive yardage-wise as they pretty much spent the whole game in the Browns' half. From the Lions' defensive point of view, let's ignore the Bears game as it has little relevance to this one. But in the loss to the Packers, they were under pressure due to the offensive turnovers. They actually gave up more yards to the Bears than they did to the Packers due to the differing field position resulting from those turnovers. So the defense, whilst it still has issues, was not terrible in the first 2 weeks, but needs the offense not to turn the ball over to put them under pressure. That said, they also need to stand up against the Ravens on the ground in some way. So, to sum up all of that, neither defense will shut down the opposing offense in this one for me, and probably won't really limit them either. So here comes another high-scoring classic for us to watch, and it may be turnovers that prove critical here. So let's look at that from the quarterback point of view. Jared Goff has thrown 32 picks and 19 fumbles from 2022 onwards, turning the ball over 51 times. Lamar Jackson has just 18 picks, but has fumbled 26 times in that period from 6 fewer games. So that's 44 turnovers. So a differential of 7 turnovers from 6 games. So there's not much in it there either. The perception might be that Goff turns the ball over much more than Jackson. It's actually not the case. So again, this could go either way. As I said, it could be key turnover, could turn this game literally. But because I still see the Lions O-line as an evolving unit and the Ravens have home field advantage, I will take the Ravens to edge this one 37-34. So that rounds off my week 3 preview. Like I said, I came into this having got 27 out of 32 right from the first 2 weeks, running at about 85% accuracy. This has been a trickier week to call for me. So if I got a dozen out of 16 here, I think I'd be quite happy, particularly as I've called a couple of shocks, potential shocks. But that's my week 3 preview done. Enjoy it all, and I'll see you soon.